We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. We have Will back with us. He was on earlier in the week, and we still have plenty to talk about. That's one thing about Will. He's never at a loss for words. He's kind of like me in that regard. And he's probably one of the easiest guys to do a podcast with. Because all I really have to say is hi, Will, and then just sit back and have a water.
Yeah, basically just
He did,
pull the
he did
lawnmower and see how it goes. Yeah.
he does all the heavy lifting for me.
Oh God,
You
too
know, I
much
wanted
in
I
my
wanted to
lifetime.
ask you a question because I know you were going
Hmm.
to talk about Republicans and what's going on. Um, there are Republicans out there that are upset with Donald Trump and upset with what Donald Trump wants to do. They're totally against it, and they're hoping against hope that they somehow can pull the Republicans back to what they normally were. My question is, when has the Republican Party in the last 50 years been good for the people of this country and the country as a whole? They crash every economy. They push this trickle down thing that's never worked. They always tell us they can't afford to give money to the middle class, whether it be MAGA or just the normal conservatives a la Liz Cheney. When has it ever been fucking good?
I mean, go back to before MAGA. They called it the Tea Party.
Right,
Remember the Tea Party, which was basically, be honest, it was a racist response to President Obama.
right.
We know it. I mean, Kevin McCarthy and Paul, what's his name? Paul Ryan can say it was some kind of political movement. It was bullshit.
Yeah,
It was designed to blunt everything that Obama was trying to do from the ACA. It was their mantra was stopping socialism. Um, the thing about it is Republicans since I don't want to say Eisenhower because Eisenhower believed in progress. He did to an extent. Um, but the hardest thing for Republicans to wrap their mind around is the future
right,
because everything's tied to the past for them.
right.
Um, because they can't. Let's kind of take a look at Donald Trump's talking about tariffs and uh, energy production. Okay, let's talk about reality first on the energy production. The United States is putting out more oil and gas production ever,
Right,
even more than the Trump administration.
right.
Under Trump, is actually was lagging because it never was given any kind of support. He was in Pennsylvania talking about they're just going to frack, frack, frack. He started doing quacking like a duck. That's not normal, people.
No,
Hi, that's not normal. Just checking in on that. But they're already fracking now. Kamala
no.
Harris didn't stop fracking.
Let me ask you about
Base,
fracking. Let me ask you about
Mhm.
fracking. I do you remember way back when they had these documentaries about people having water where they could light it on fire because
Mhm.
of the fracking? Now, there is no politician that will say, "Oh, I don't believe in fracking. We should stop it." And that's only for political motives. That's
Mhm.
not necessarily for human safety or the ecology or anything. Fracking has a lot of problems. The problem with going against it is there's a lot of people that make a living during fracking. So that's a weird situation. And
Yeah.
Kamala's saying she's not against fracking. I beg to
But
differ.
she's getting against she's not against regulations of it. That's the
Right,
problem.
right.
When they started, it was wild fucking west.
Yeah, because it
And
was
that's where you
new. It
had
wasn't
it
illegal
was
because
new.
it never happened.
And so that's why there's a lot of regulations attached to fracking. That's why you don't. I mean, I haven't seen a good an investigative report. Maybe someone will drop it in our emails
Yeah,
or to us later about the risk of fracking. But it seems to have leveled out to the point that they've got a way of doing it that is not what it was before. Yeah, I saw that. It was, and that's where he got his rep.
right.
But it is. But the thing about it is, if they have if they have done their regulations and figured out the way to make sure it's safe as it can be, they're making money from it, and it does benefit our overall. But here's the difference between going back to say Republicans and Democrats, or just I hate to use that because I think that's going to change, and that's something to look for in the future. Is that Biden understood the importance of fossil fuels. You cannot just walk away from fossil fuels.
Not
The
yet.
problem with the far left, you're idiots. You don't walk away from fossil fuels. You can't do it because your life, because the majority of you are very rich and sit up there in their little latte liberal bullshit, is depending on power.
Right.
And oil, fossil fuels give us that. Trust me, you like to stay warm during the winter and you like to be cool during the summer. How the fuck do you think that happens? But what you want to do, what Biden is taking the hold of, is that you can do both. That's the problem with the far right and the far left. You either do it all the way this way or all the way the other way.
Right.
No, you do both. That's why there's investment in solar, investment in electric cars, investment in chips and technology, because that's the future. If you have a combined um, energy output, which is non-traditional, is green as they call it, and fossil fuel, then you're ahead of the game. That bullshit that Abbott gave us when his power grid failed because of his incompetency, he blamed the windmills.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, they're the only ones providing power at the time.
Right.
You had killed your grid. That's an example of it. The ignorance to benefit the few has stunted American progress. Manufacturers used to do R&D.
Yeah.
R&D was part of your manufacturing to do more, to build more, to create more. But then came the 80s, and who was the guy in front of General Electric? Jack whoever. Come back. Someone will give us with that. But he changed General Electric from making money and R&D to just making money,
Right.
where the stockholder became more important than the stakeholders.
Right.
Everyone who don't know basic economics, this is for you macro wise. All companies have stakeholders. A stakeholder is anyone that affects the company or the company affects. That's the workers, the investors,
The consumers.
suppliers, the consumers, the government. Were all stakeholders in that company. What happened was it got twisted where the stakeholders became less important than the stockholders.
Right.
And the money that was supposed to go to R&D was taken back and they bought more stock so they can make more money. That's been the fucking MO for decades now.
Well, the
That's
thing
what.
is, if we're going to go to green energy, people have to understand whether it be electric or windmills or whatever the fuck they're going to do. Um, you can't, as you said, go from one thing to the next thing in a
No.
period of a month or a year or a decade. By the time we're all electrical or all wind power or all solar power, Will, you and I are going to be dead because it
Yeah.
takes a long time to get there. But you got to look beyond the end of your nose and get started at some point.
There's no the one thing I like about Kamala Harris, it's the beginning of a vision for
Yeah.
America that is not right, left, in its American opportunity. You guys don't get it. That's not a socialist bullshit. Because most of you guys who'd say that wouldn't know what a socialist is to bite your ass.
No.
Now you want to know what a communist is, you have no fucking idea what an ism is. Let's put it this way. She is proposing Americanism.
Right.
Let's put it that way. Americanism, where no matter of your political view, y'all get a chance at the table to make it what you want. That's called opportunity. That makes sense. And on the table, though, there's a support system that if something happens, you can come up from it again. And it supports the elderly. That's what Americanism should be.
Right.
The problem is business. See, that's the one thing that bugs the hell on me too. Right now, business is making money. These guys still are just trapped in this weird ass thing about taxes that they think that if they pay more taxes, it's going to affect their bottom line. And they know it doesn't. All it affects is your profit line. It
Right.
goes down so little. And the problem is, it's time to stop talking about more for the sake of more. I mean, the reason that the Chinese got ahead of us on a lot of stuff is that we got away from R&D.
Right.
We got away from becoming not entrepreneurs, but inventors and manufacturers. We let someone else do it at our chagrin. It
And
was
that's and that's
dumb.
and that's why it was such a big deal for Joe Biden to bring the CHIPS Act here. That
Exactly.
puts it back in our lap, because we found out what happens when there's a shortage of chips or some fuck up. We can't sell cars because there were
But
cars on lots with no chips and they don't drive.
and remember, the Chinese government, people forget about Chinese in business. The Chinese are businessmen. They've been businessmen for centuries. We know
Right.
this. I
Yeah.
mean, communism was just, they got away from it, they went back to it because they've always been business. But it's a government run business. These people the companies do get incentives from the government. All right. What Joe Biden did with the CHIPS Act is that, okay, if you can do it, we can do it.
Right.
And they gave incentives. And that's something Republicans hated to do unless it was um, building a stadium somewhere. And they were good with that.
Yeah.
But the point is, once they did that, all of a sudden you can bring that back to America. And when you get American manufacturing going and you give workers good wages, they work for you, support for you, and there's always someone with an idea on the line.
Right.
There's always someone there that can bring something that makes it smarter and quicker. The tech bros think they're gods. You're not gods. You're just
No.
able to figure it out a little better than the rest of us. And you keep acting like gods. Peter Thiel, no, you're not gods. That's why JD Vance is on the ticket because they're hoping Trump wins and he dies, or they get rid of him and he becomes their tech bro um, uh, president. But even their stuff is tainted because it doesn't benefit all of us.
Right.
The one thing, as someone who's a nerd, someone who's read a lot of science fiction in life, is that the promise of the future is something that I always read um, over time. And the biggest one will always be, and everyone can see it, is Star Trek. Why?
Right.
Because it showed what we could do as a race beyond where we're at.
Right.
That's the thing. And a lot of the ideas that came from the original show up now. What we're going to see, and you and I won't see in our lifetimes that's left, what we're going to see with the Harris administration and a blue Congress is finally getting a chance to build on a good economy and not handing off to a bunch of people who want to push everything back. I do not want to go back to the 19th century. Donald
No.
Trump does.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't understand his obsession with tariffs. It
no.
doesn't work.
Well, it's the only thing he can come up with. It's a simple thing, and it makes sense to him because he's simple-minded. But Joe Biden has brought back manufacturing in this country, and the Republicans always complain about all the manufacturing, all the jobs are going overseas. Well, you know why they are? Because of Republicans allowing them to do
Mhm.
that. They want to make more money and get things done cheaper. So a tariff, Donald Trump believes, will fix that. Then they'll have to do it in our country. No, they won't. They'll just tack that tariff onto the price of the product, and you'll still only be able to get, like if it were chips and we weren't making chips here, that would just make those chips that much more expensive, and your cars would be more expensive.
And then
So,
the Chinese
so
have something to hold over us. You
right,
don't think they'd use it as a political weapon? You guys are crazy if you don't think that.
right, and
Uh,
so we need to find a way to bring manufacturing back to this country, and the Republicans aren't the ones to do it. They
no.
don't want that. They want to make the most money possible. Joe Biden and the people involved in the CHIP Acts and other things that will start happening understand we need to build America. We need to be manufacturing things. This country was built on manufacturing and
Exactly.
innovation, and we're not that anymore. We're basically a middleman.
But it's starting to come back again.
Yeah.
The Reagan administration killed it. They outsourced everything known to line. I mean, right now, you've seen the article with that came out of the whistleblower with Truth Social
Yeah.
trying to burn Devin Nunes, who runs that company. Devin Nunes, what a joke.
He's a
Um,
dipshit.
yeah, they're saying that they're outsourcing their workers. They're outsourcing to China.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I mean, there's no American made there. It's fucking Bibles made in China.
Yeah.
Dear God Almighty. The point is, his game doesn't work. It's a con. But the Republicans have been conning us for years, telling us there's not enough money for anything. I just saw an article talking about what's Biden going to say. The the federal deficit went up by 1.8 trillion dollars. Yeah, okay, well, it's not like 8 trillion that isn't benefiting us.
Yeah.
This is the federal debt to an extent a joke. And I
Kind of.
say that that's an imaginary thing because remember, economy is not based on anything physical. It's based on belief and the numbers. That's that's the truth. Don't I don't want to hear gold standard. Fuck you. That doesn't work either. It didn't work before. That's
Right.
the past. I want to look what's going to happen when Kamala Harris takes over the economy and builds on it, because
Yeah.
that's going to make everything bigger. If she doesn't have to fight through everything from the left, because warning to the far left, shut up. It's going to be one step at a time. I do not want to hear you, well, they're not doing enough. You never help out anyway. You're like that fable waiting for everyone else to make the soup and not bringing the ingredients, then sitting at a table wanting to eat.
Yeah.
No, you don't do the work. This is not going to be easy because we had to not only get away from the social and damage that Donald Trump and Trumpism left, we have to get people to buy into you don't have to do it like we used to. We don't.
Well,
Don't worry about the taxes. The taxes will be okay because you'll be making money and the rich are going to pay their own. You will have your opportunity. Make the best of it. Isn't that where we're supposed to be as Americans?
well, that's why we should increase the the minimum wage and
Yes.
pay people more money because then they pay more taxes and they buy more shit, which drives the economy. It's a simple fucking process. I don't know why the Republicans don't get it.
But see, they've sold people to vote against their best interests. You see, the majority of people who are Republicans come from very, very poor areas,
Yeah.
but they keep voting into it. Why? Because they've been convinced that if they don't vote Republican, the only asset they have, which is their skin color, would mean nothing. What they should be selling them is, hey, go with this and you'll have more than just your skin color. You can be part of something bigger.
Right.
I mean, I that's what they've sold them for decades.
Well, basically, what's happened with Republicans is the Republicans have taken these middle class and poor people, raped and pillaged them for
Yes.
decades, and then came back and said, "Oh, this is horrible what's happening to you. We're the only ones that can save you, so you better vote for us." And they fucking believe it.
And they get nothing for it.
No, they get
Again,
nothing.
Kentucky's the biggest example of it. Mitch McConnell is and Paul, what's the other idiot? Paul Rand? I forget his name.
Rand Paul.
Rand Paul. They do nothing for you
No.
but take.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not. It's just we have an opportunity, guys, with this election. And we spent a lot of time talking about the idiocy of Trump and the idiocy of MAGA. But here's the thing we are at the precipice of changing America for probably a good generation and 2 generations forward
Yeah.
to the better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For the
And where
first
people,
time.
for the first time in a long time, where visionaries can work forward, where we don't have to deal with their bullshit, where people would have opportunities beyond opportunities
There's
to
more
make
opportunities for Kamala Harris today than there was for Obama in 2008, 2008.
exactly. And even and with Obama, he still had to deal with, well, he came back, he had to rebuild the economy
Right.
like every fucking Democratic president recently has to do. Could you imagine a Democratic president doesn't have to worry about that?
Yeah, he's going to hit the ground running. It'll be the
Yeah.
first time a Democratic president's had that
And it's another thing
opportunity.
that worries the fuck out of Republicans because then if the economy is running smoothly, then we can look at other things like, ooh, what were you doing about January 6th?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of rocks that can get turned over because now the important stuff is being handled. Now we could talk about justice. And if you don't think that's scary, not scaring the piss out of people, you should.
You know who's
You,
nervous is Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham was
God,
on a
what
talk
is
show.
wrong with him?
I don't know. He's a weirdo.
I mean,
But they were talking to him about the Republicans that are going to vote for Kamala Harris, and he was basically crying. He goes, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Because people don't want their country to go down the shithole. You know, you can say, oh, socialism this and socialism that, but we're not comparing socialism to democracy. We're comparing socialism to autocracy. And
right.
frankly, if that's the decision, it's a fucking no-brainer."
And a lot of the a lot of older people, especially in Florida, man, they've read Project 2025,
Yeah, oh yeah,
and that Social Security thing. No, that's the thing that's driving. Trump keeps trying to cover himself. Well, there'll be no taxes, Social Security, and that. No, dude, there will be no taxes, Social Security, because there will be no Social Security.
right.
Um, there will be no Medicare, no Medicaid. The one thing I am hoping, for God's sake, that she gets long-term care to be part of Medicare.
Yeah,
My mother-in-law has been paying for long-term care through Social Security for years. It's not the best facility. If Medicare could pick that up, that's money
yeah,
for her.
yeah,
See, that is such a smart thing to do, but these people are hooked. Also, remember, they're looking toward the past, and Republicans are still butthurt of that from FDR.
right.
They want to rip apart the New Deal still after all these days, all these decades. But why don't I don't know about you, but I don't want to go back to the 19th century. Kind of
Yeah,
figure that's kind of a bad thing to do. Been there, done that. Don't want to
yeah.
do it anymore.
You know, the thing about
Um,
it, the thing about it is I've said this and I'll stand by it, and I think we're going to see the results of it. I think overturning Roe v. Wade is the biggest issue for a presidential election we've ever seen. But I will tell you this, you try to take away Social Security and Medicare, that's bigger than Roe v. Wade.
oh man, and here's we kind of when last time we spoke, we didn't bring it up. One thing I keep forgetting is that with all these polls and stuff, they still aren't talking about women's votes.
No,
They're
they don't
still
care.
not bringing up Roe v. Wade. They're not talking about women, but as you know and I know, women have forgotten and they are ready.
Oh yeah, they're fucking
And
gonna go off.
yeah, because the polls aren't taking that into consideration, or if they are, they're making that as a minor concern of women. What women are you speaking to? Because the thing about it, it's not just even Roe v. Wade. They are just literally saying women are second class citizens.
Yeah, it's a
I
war
mean,
against women. There's no question.
um, Harrison Buckner, who went around, who's the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, was with Josh Hawley during his campaign stops, telling women, "Hey, just step aside. Don't worry about it. We'll handle it." I mean, what do you think women should be in chains and then released to cook your dinner?
Right.
I mean, I've never seen such I never seen them people turn on women like this. It is just disgusting. And you think they're not going to remember? Yeah, I see enough women trying to suck up to the patriarchy, seeing that they're going to get something out of it. But always remember this: for all those people supporting Trump and all that, and they think you're going to be safe. Dictators always come for everyone.
Yeah, they do.
Eventually,
Eventually, everyone.
everyone. I mean, all you have to look at is Stalin.
Yeah,
And everyone who supported him, gee, disappeared later.
yeah.
They always come for you. You're not safe.
If you're not
Never,
them, you're the
ever.
enemy.
Exactly. And eventually they'll say, oh, yeah, I have no more enemies. That makes you my enemy now. I mean, that's the thing. And this is one thing about the election is not only building a better future, but not going backwards so far that it could kill this country.
Yeah,
Could kill us for maybe centuries, the world for centuries.
yeah.
We don't
It's
know. That's
well,
scary.
well, and that's the thing is I hear from people in other countries, and a lot of them are just as terrified as the people in this country
Well,
because
maybe
they
not the
know it trickles
Italians, if
down.
they came up with that thing about um, IVF, but that's different. We'll move
Yeah,
on. Abortion,
yeah.
any abortion bullshit.
Italians
But
might be different, but you get people from Britain, you get people from Canada, you get people from Australia, Ireland. I get comments from a lot of people all over the world, and they are watching this very closely, and they are praying that Donald Trump gets beat. And I always try to explain to them he's going to lose. See, there's no logical way he can win. The facts just don't bear it out. But they are worried too because ultimately it will affect them.
yeah, and the reckoning is. We talk about it coming, but the justice reckoning is going to come
Oh yeah,
because the one thing about Trump, the reports coming from the Middle East, and we're going to change gears here. They killed the Hamas leader.
yeah.
Biden was over there sending people out. Okay, let's ceasefire this. We're done. You got what you wanted. But Netanyahu is saying he's fighting every inch, every ceasefire request. And reports are is that after he spoke to Trump, why Trump is speaking to a foreign leader is illegal. And I swear to Almighty God, if someone doesn't start after all this, go after him for Logan Act violations, come on.
Well, I think there'll
And
be a lot of things going after Trump for these little things, but let's clarify about Netanyahu.
mm,
Trump may have talked to him, but I think Netanyahu is staying in this war for one reason and one reason only: his own personal safety, because he
CYA,
because he knows when this war ends, he's going to get his ass kicked out and he's probably going to go to jail. So
he's a
he has every motivation for continuing the war.
he's already been convicted.
Yeah,
He's only not in jail because he's prime minister,
right.
and he's holding on by the skin of his teeth. And the majority of Israelis hate his ass. That's
Yeah,
a fact.
yeah,
And it's sad to watch. This is if you want an example of someone hanging on the power for the sake of hanging on power at the expense of everybody else. That's Benjamin Netanyahu.
absolutely.
And Donald Trump came close to that on January 6th. If you think of it, it's the same thing. Right now, we it's not just a chance for an opportunity economy to actually split the Republican Party's ideas of small government and their economic bullshit. Because
Right,
here's the thing: Liz Cheney, Mitt Romney, Michael Steele, all you people voting for Kamala Harris, Republican Party, think you can get your party back.
right,
Your party's gone.
right,
Liz, you cannot come back and spout the same economic bullshit. Because at that point, the economy going so far, what are you going to do? Take it apart? You can't do it anymore. The Republican Party as it is, and then take away Trump as is going to end.
right,
Because all the racists, all the non middle class supporting parts of the Republican Party were amplified by Trump.
right,
It always had been there. It was just hiding under some kind of patriotic flag. Trump
right,
ripped it apart. Now we see you for you are. And again, instead of talking about Republicans, Democrats for economic opportunity and America, Kamala Harris says Americans. The only people still holding on to red and blue are Republicans
right.
because that's all they have and that's all they always have. There is going to be no Republican Party. Will there be a second party? Eventually, maybe. But again, if we do this right, it'll be just like California. Good luck. Oh, that's a Republican? I thought you were a dying breed because that's what I want at this point because we
To ma-
need it.
to maintain a democracy, we do need two parties, but it will be nice when the Republicans are out of the way so we can clean up the mess they've made and then let them come back in 2026 or something with the Republican Party. They'll still get
But
their ass
our
kicked,
founding
but
fathers didn't want parties. They
true.
just they just bubbled up. But I mean, the Republican Party is going to have to figure itself out, and you can't come back to the old conservatism because the old conservatism still looks like Trumpism. It just doesn't have all the clownish on it.
Well, and the old conservatism isn't going to appeal to the millennials and the Gen Zs.
Oh
We know
hell
that,
no!
and they're taking over in 2028. So the Republican Party has to come up with a whole new fucking plan.
But they're
Otherwise,
not.
they'll be out.
they honestly think, and these are old, again, the old folk think that once they go to Trump, everything's going to be okay. No, 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 no,
No,
no,
no, it's not. It's
no. Because
definitely not.
the one thing that Lindsey Graham said before he lost his mind was that if Trump takes over the party, it would be the death of the party. You're going to be right about that, Lindsey. You
Lindsay's
got
going to
that
be right
part
about
right.
it. He's going to be right
But
about that. Well, Will, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Will from Georgia is with us. He's always got plenty to say. And we were talking just before we came back on here, and you were kind of smiling and smirking. So I'm curious as to what you got for us.
yeah, I mean, this is Days of Future Past, people. So you probably already know this when you get here. So this is our remark, our our remark to it. As you know, Donald Trump defended Harvey Weinstein the other day,
Yeah.
saying that he got schlonged,
Yeah.
whatever
Schlong.
basically, yeah. But basically, he's, let's be blunt. That's what I love about YouTube. We can say this without some AI or editor going freaking out. One rapist defending another, which is obvious.
Mm-hmm.
But Harvey Weinstein is in Rikers awaiting his retrial because New York has something they want to deal with him. He has been diagnosed with cancer,
Oh, great.
and it's called chronic myeloid leukemia. It is a rare form of bone cancer.
Yeah.
Um, let's see here. Still
I'm
in
a little
praise.
disappointed. I was hoping for ass cancer, but
Wow, it's an uncommon form of cancer of the bone marrow. He's being treated at Rikers.
which
Uh,
got a great health plan there, I hear.
oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, as someone who is an avowed Christian, but I really believe in karma, ladies and gentlemen, this from everything he said, karma is a bitch.
Yeah.
And I mean that literally. Oh, wow.
I have
That's
to
like, that's just damn.
I have to repeat an old soul quote that I love. Old souls, very compassionate and caring, and I'm not. So we sometimes don't see eye to eye on some things. But she said, like my grandmother once told me, I don't wish death on anyone, but there are some obituaries I'm looking forward to reading, and
Oh,
his is one of them.
oh my, I mean, this guy, when that's another thing. If you're supporting Donald Trump, you support things that he believes, and that's one of them.
Yeah,
And to read that after his remarks, it's satisfying. I'm sorry. I mean, when Rush Limbaugh passed away, I'm like, cool.
yeah,
What's
that's
for
great.
lunch?
Yeah,
Because I mean, any man who deserved it, and he died horribly, very horribly, with
absolutely.
cancer. I mean, karma is not I mean, we all do wrong things, but when you pile up a bunch of shit like that, oh, Harvey, the afterlife will not be kind to you.
Yeah,
It's never going to be kind. I'm I'm still amazed. I kept thinking recently, why in God's almighty name do people support Donald Trump? Why do they listen to his stuff and 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 stay with it? And someone, the New York Times actually did some journalism a couple of days back, and I did a vid on it. And they did the journalism. It's like they actually when he was at the Democrat, what was it, Detroit Economic Conference? When he trashed Detroit, they asked people why.
yeah,
They laid out all the things he said about immigrants, all the things he said about enemy of the people, all the things he's done, all the things he says he's going to do when he becomes president again. Why do you keep supporting him? Do you know what their take is? No, he doesn't mean it. He won't do that.
Isn't that the most amazing thing is every time Donald Trump says something, some politician comes out and says, well, I think what he really meant, or Donald Trump's a jokester, or he was being hyperbolic. Why can't we get a president that just says what he means and means what he fucking says?
But he means it
Oh, I
because
know he
he's
means it.
done it. See, the thing about it is that when we talked the last time, we talked about, they're trying to keep him away from certain things in the White House. The point is that they knew what he would do, and
Yeah.
he's done things. And that's the thing. For anyone to say at this time, after all the things that Trump did as president of the United States, if you think he doesn't mean it, you're out of your fucking mind.
The only thing
Because
we can be the only thing
but
we can be glad of when it comes to Donald Trump that he's stupid and lazy. Because if he'd been smart and ambitious, things could have gone definitely differently in his 4 years.
but the problem we have to remember, he is fucking vindictive.
He is.
Because all in children, people will say this: children are the cruelest people. Donald Trump is a child. He's never grown up. He is cruel.
Yeah.
He does it for his entertainment only.
Right.
Remember when the reports on January 6th, when they showed him what was going on, Mr. President's going on. The guy looked. He looked up at Trump. Looked at it, and he looked at the screen, watching the violence, and he said, "Huh, give me a Coke." That's what his reaction to January 6th was, to
Yeah.
sit there with a Diet Coke and entertain himself with police getting their asses handed to him or fighting back his rioters.
It
It
was
was insane.
it was the 2020 version of Nero uh, plucking the fiddle while Rome burned.
I mean, with a Diet Coke,
Yeah, with a
which is
Diet
kind of
Coke.
sad. But see, that's when they say that bugs me, and even and that's another thing going back, not just Republican politicians, but how we talked about in the first part of our discussion, is that they think they're going to bring the party back. You can't, because you enabled him and you ignored him and you let him do this to you. You can't come back from it.
No.
You enabled him. You let him do it. You let the worst part of your nature come through.
Right.
You have no fucking empathy. And this is going to, now that you get empathy, oh, okay, now we'll get it back. No, 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 no. We're not going to let you have it back. We're done with you.
Yeah.
The Whigs understood that. And we're going to do the same to you guys. It's coming. Winter is coming for the Republican Party. And winter's coming early on November 5th. And it's going to blow hard
Yeah.
and cold for you guys. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. I don't give a fuck about the polls anymore. Polls, we laugh. We bring it up because you all who follow the polls and the press want to make a thing. No, 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 no. Early voting is not split between Democrats and Republicans. They ain't happening. No. People are not lining up to vote for Donald Trump. No, they are not. Um, could it be closer than we think? Maybe. But I'll tell you one thing, it's going to be an electoral landslide.
I really get
And
that feeling. I mean, I
mm,
want to say that, but I know it's putting my ass on the line, but I've done it before, so I guess it's not a big deal. I just what I see doesn't suggest Donald Trump has a chance. She'll win decisively, and I'd like to say it's going to be a landslide, and I would not be surprised if it was.
like someone was talking about, some guy said he got a Fox poll saying that Trump could win the popular vote but lose the electoral vote. Okay. Last time I looked, he lost by 7 million votes to Joe Biden.
Right.
He's not getting 7 million votes plus back.
No.
I mean, it's insane.
And there's going to be
And
more votes this time than there was
oh
in
God,
2020.
yes, people, it's up. I mean, you do not get a 200% spike of early voting for Donald Trump. That enthusiasm is dead. If that was true, why is he got dozens of people at his rally in Latrobe?
Yeah.
Why is he staging stuff at McDonald's? Why is he staging town halls with handpicked, vetted women to ask him softball questions and giggle at him?
Right.
Why is he performing but not speaking? Because the last time he got caught out in the open at the debate with Kamala Harris, she fucking skewed him, and he has never recovered from that.
No.
Let's be honest. That debate ended Donald Trump. It so fucked up his mind that he is still trying to recover.
What do you
It's
think? What do you think about, we see how he's not showing up to some rallies and some interviews, and he's telling us it's exhaustion, which it could be. He's 78 years old. What do you think is really going on with that? Do you think his people are trying to hold him back so he doesn't embarrass himself more, or is he just getting tired flying around the country? I mean, we said before that Kamala's running that motherfucker into the ground, and I think
yeah.
she's doing it intentionally.
His intent was to go total bunker, but his campaign people convinced him, look, you got to keep up with her. So he's doing a whole bunch of other. He had another town hall a couple of days ago.
Yeah, a
I don't know
beauty.
where. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
it's all the same. But the thing about what he's getting is that he doesn't do rallies per se because the rallies are insignificant. So he's turned to these town halls, so he kind of can control it because he's in with people of his ilk.
and
But
that's
he
what he
doesn't
does
look
is
good in those.
that's what he does when he controls it. You talked about the last town hall. He was trying to appeal to women, but what Fox News didn't tell us was they put ringers in there. All these women were Trump followers. He needs that adulation, and he's not getting it anywhere else unless it's a staged event.
I mean, there's two things I think that have driven him right now. One was the first debate. He really thought Kamala Harris was just not going to was going to be Hillary Clinton. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
He thought she was going to be Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is a policy honk, and that's what she tried to do. What he got into with is every black female prosecutor he's seen in the last few months,
yeah,
all wrapped up with the biggest badass in Kamala Harris.
right.
And Kamala Harris looked at him and going, dude, I have put so many of you fat asses in jail. You're just one more here to eat. And she ate him up.
Yeah,
And that fucked his mind up because he's been in courtrooms with these ladies already, and they have torn him a new asshole.
right.
He couldn't say anything. And when he could say something, he couldn't. She beat him into the ground. And then the second one was he backed away from the debates and he kept saying, well, why don't you go on Fox? And she goes, okay, I'll do you one better. I'll sit with Fox and
Yeah,
have that interview. And
right.
she sat with Brett Baer, and basically, they wound up
Destroy.
Brett Baer and said, "Hey, dude, you gotta fix this." Yeah, she ate him alive.
She destroyed his reputation if he
He
had any.
destroyed him.
Yeah,
He destroyed him. I mean, that man tried everything he could do. Saturday Night Live did a bit on it, but it was minor compared to what she really did to him
yeah.
because she made her points. They could not say that she was like an angry. No, that wasn't an angry black woman.
They
That was
tried to do it, but it didn't
they
work.
tried, but they couldn't. What you got was another prosecutor presenting her case against Donald Trump, and you were the opposing counsel, and there was no judge to say objection. Fine. She told him to shut up in
Well,
all the nicest way she could.
and Brett Baer sat there nodding his head, knowing he was getting eaten alive. He knew he
And
was
at
going to
one
have
point
some
he's saying,
shit.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. You better say yes, ma'am.
But then,
And so and those two things are driving him right now. The original debate, which still sticks in his craw, and then the Fox News thing, especially when it got 2 times the ratings he did for his town hall. Oh, no, that is not gonna do. That whole McDonald's thing was to basically say, "Hey, I could do this too." Dude, honestly, that was sad.
well, it's
And everything else.
what I
Go ahead.
always say is everything he tries, he fails. Everything MAGA tries, they fail. Everybody gets all upset. Oh, he's going to do this or he's going to do that. Let him fucking do it.
Let
He
him
just
do it.
fails every goddamn time.
Now, I mean, now we're at the point where the violence is out. Now we're getting to some of these people getting a little feisty. The threats, some some incidents of violence itself. We're going to run across it, guys. It is what it is. But there is no going to be organized Trump army.
No.
There is no organized Trump army. It's not going to happen. And if it is, it's going to be isolated incidents, and they're all going to go to jail very fast.
Yeah.
They're ready for them. People say, "Well, local policemen do it." Yeah. Do you know how fast local police will get stepped on by
Yeah.
National Guard?
Yeah.
It's not going to work. I mean, what are they going to do? Storm state capitals and steal the electoral votes?
Yeah. Not
How
hardly.
long is that going to last? I mean, the fear of the violence, we should be afraid of it, but it's not going to. Trump losing is not going to lead to a civil war.
No, it's not.
It's not. Because again, going back to what everyone says, one thing I will say again: Joe Biden is president of the United States. They don't want to believe it, but it's true.
I wouldn't
And
be
he owns.
surprised if on January 6th, Joe Biden has a National Guard standing on the
Oh,
steps
I
of the
know he will.
Capitol.
Oh, they will be there. National Guard. It's going to be. It may not be armored vehicles, but it would be a hardcore National Guard.
Yeah.
Because I mean, basically, that's going to be a dare. Go ahead, try it. Let's see what happens. Because I mean, it's all right now. It's all bravado.
I want to see Joe Biden stand up there before January 6th and say, go ahead, make my day. No joke. I'm serious.
Serious, and I wish he would. I mean, I know Joe. He's doing a lot of things. I think he's trying to plow the road for Kamala Harris
Yeah.
because I mean, he's not an idiot. He can see it too. He's
Oh,
trying to
yeah.
make sure that if he can get the Middle East settled for her, it'd be great. Trying to keep the economy going, which is still going strong. A lot of stuff he's doing is literally setting her up to succeed. Because remember, when he took over from Trump, he set him up to fail. And it was not good for a while. I mean, the whole Afghanistan was set up to fail.
Right.
And Joe Biden resisted his troops saying, "No, we have to go back in. No, we're out." And he took a huge political hit for that. Can
He
you
did.
imagine that?
But it was the
He
right
said
thing to do.
it was the right thing. He said, "We're out." Well, what about we're out? That's their problem now. And it wasn't good. It looked ugly. Yeah, of course it was ugly because it was set up to fail. Fail. They closed Trump closed two airports. It forced everything out of one. It was not pretty. It was
George W.
ugly.
Bush should have pulled us out of there before he ever left. And then every
Uh,
other president after that didn't have the balls to do it.
no, and he did it at the expense of. I mean, his military people turned on him to an extent because they were worried about their. I get it what they wanted to do, but it was time. Now here we are. We're not at war. Well, is it a mess in Afghanistan? Yeah, but that's a doing mostly of Trump, who let the Taliban loose, and
If
he
we
won't admit to it.
if we looked at history, we would have
Mhm.
never gone into Afghanistan
Oh God, no.
because prior to us, Russia was in there for how fucking long and got nowhere.
Mhm.
So if Russia went in there and got nowhere, why would we try it? Why would we do that?
I mean, it led to the fall of communism.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, that
it
whole
did.
withdrawal, because you had a lot of vets that came back all messed up and decided when it was time to get rid of the communists, they worked it. I mean, a lot of the people in the streets that were for Boris Yeltsin were vets from the Afghan war. They
Yeah,
had it. And that's another thing about Putin. Putin knows this too with Ukraine. And there are a lot of people, a lot of kids, a lot of men not coming home. The reason he has such a tight hold on the society because moms are not happy, families aren't happy.
no,
There are the Russian people are Putin has screwed the Russian people. We keep forgetting to dissect the leader from the people, Netanyahu from Israelis, Putin from Russians. The majority of Russians just want what we want:
right,
a job, food on the table, and a happy family.
right,
They don't want this crazy chaos. They had the crazy chaos because they couldn't build an economy from communism, and Putin slid in with his bullshit. But now they're stuck. They don't know what to do, honestly. And he's in this meat grinder, and he can't get out of it. He's stuck.
I have
Uh,
this feeling. I wonder what you think about this. Kamala Harris is a personality. She's tough, she's direct, she's bold, which is kind of contrary to what Joe Biden is. He's more old school, more just kind of go along and try to finesse his way through it. And I don't know that Kamala has enough experience to be as finesse based. I have a feeling that while she's keeping everything in balance now, once he takes office, things are going to get a lot tougher on Netanyahu. Things are going to
mhm.
get a lot tougher on Putin, and there's going to be some actions taken that maybe should have been taken years ago.
Putin does not is afraid of Joe Biden. They've had meetings. It's not
Yeah,
been good. He's been blunt with him. As for Netanyahu, he's been trying. He's balancing the Jewish vote, balancing all that. But right now with Kamala Harris, not to Netanyahu is going to get once the administration change, he's going to get a lot of more pressure because
yeah,
he's going to get a lot more pressure because people at home want the hostages home or they want their loved ones back or bodies. They want this over. And he keeps, I saw a report that they're planning to bomb Iran. He's looking to expand it more.
yeah.
The reason he wants to expand it more because he wants the chaos. And he thinks that's good. Let me make this clear for all of us who are concerned about that. He could do it, but it's not going to help Donald Trump.
No,
It's not going to help Donald Trump. It's going to help Benjamin Netanyahu to keep the war going. Because what's going to happen is that we'll step up our defense of Israel. We won't like it, but we will do it because that's our ally. But I'll guarantee you the consequences are coming. He knows it. That's why he's running, he's doing what he has to do. The Middle East is a problem of Benjamin Netanyahu's creation.
right,
Now, I'm not going to say what happened on October 7th was not horrific. It was. But Netanyahu laid out that he was warned by it. He did not have troops there. He had them somewhere else. And Hamas came in and just decimated those people horrendously. It was horrible. And the one thing I'll say to all you motherfucking leftists talking about Genocide Joe, you never say a motherfucking thing about October 7th and
right,
what happened. You
right.
never say a motherfucking thing because you know that fucks up your narrative. Hamas are monsters.
Well, you heard what Donald Trump said, right? Donald Trump was talking about the war. They were asking about Gaza and all this stuff, and he basically said they should just go in and wipe out Gaza.
Yes.
And he said the and I said, what about the hostages? Oh, the hostages are all dead. You might as well forget
Yeah.
about that.
No
That's
fucking
that's his
empathy.
attitude. No, nothing.
Yeah. And tell that to the people that came home. But, he doesn't give a fuck. But the one thing you always have to remember, too, it's not just Benjamin Netanyahu. His cabinet, his defense ministers have a plan for the Palestinians. Their plan is to literally, because no country wants them. For all
No,
the Arab bullshit they say about Palestine, they don't want them.
no.
Basically, they said that's an easy solution. Let's just do what the Turks did to the Armenians,
Yeah,
pull them out, walk them in the desert, in the Sinai desert, and leave them. If the Egyptians want to help them, great. If not, that's not our fucking problem. And then we can take Gaza and do what we want with it. That is out of the lips of the Israeli defense minister.
right.
Look it up, folks. It's the truth. And so, for all you motherfucking leftist bullshit assholes, peaceniks, whatever, pinko commies, whatever you want to use the 60 term, that's what happens when you think you are smarter than the rest of us. You are not. You don't see the big game. You just look at little, you think that this is going to benefit yourself, make yourself feel better. And I hear you. I hear you. I hear you, little latte liberals. Fuck you.
So
I
now we're
hear
going to
you.
have to figure out a GoFundMe to get security for Will.
I mean, guys, hey, it's the truth. I'm not the only one that says this on videos and stuff. These leftist people, and again, but you betray your own kind. because you know what Donald Trump cares about. And for you thinking that's going to make a difference, it's no difference from me looking at Latinos and saying you're a bunch of bentejos for voting for Donald Trump, especially Puerto Ricans. You
Right.
are dumb because he turned his back on Americans during Hurricane Maria. He doesn't like Puerto Rico, and he never thought we were part of the United States.
Right.
So I am saying nothing different than I say anyone should know better, because you're not going to help not going to help the cause. You help the cause by either not voting, stay out of the way,
Right.
or voting for Kamala Harris and let her do her thing. Because that's, as you said, Mike, I don't think she's going to be nice with Benji.
No, I don't
Benji
think
ain't
so
going to
either.
like her.
No. And neither is
It,
Putin. And neither is
no,
Kim Jong Un. And neither is the guy in Turkey. They ain't going to like her
oh
because
no,
she's not going to be fucking around.
Victor Orban, all of. And did you see? There's a session of the EU Parliament when Victor Orban was there, and the entire EU Parliament went off on him to his fucking
I
face.
think I did see that. Yeah.
It was, I'm like, I caught it. I'm going, wow, someone doesn't like Donald. Oh, it's not Donald Trump. They meant business, and they would toss Hungary out of the EU if it wasn't going to cost the Hungarian people.
Right.
I know that. And they're not welcome. And I know there's some right wing groups starting to rise, but I don't think they're going to last long.
No.
I really don't,
I
because the
think
world has changed.
I think when the Donald Trump's demise, when he loses here, that's going to weaken every other radical right leader throughout the world because
I
they
mean,
all
because
look to Donald
again,
Trump.
and they're all built on anti-immigrant stance. The people coming to take what's yours,
Yeah.
the people coming to take everything that you worked for, because the government wants them to replace you.
Right.
That's what you hear that all the time. It's kind of sad to hear that in America. I mean, it's not new.
No,
I
it's not
mean,
at
the
all.
Chinese, the Irish, the Chinese, the Japanese internment camps. It's not anything we haven't done before. Operation Wetback, where Eisenhower deported a million Hispanics for no reason at all. I mean, it's not anything that's happened before, and don't even get started on Jim Crow and the times in the South.
Yeah.
I mean, this is stuff that's happened. It's now acknowledged to an extent that it's happened. People wanted not to think it happened, but it did. And for Donald Trump to talk his stuff, for me, I'm like, been there, done that, heard that. Now we got to make sure he doesn't do it. And that's our job. And
Yeah.
that's the sad thing about America. We have to admit it. I mean, when I find out about the Tulsa massacre because of an HBO show, fictional show, science fiction show based on that massacre, and I go down that rabbit hole and go, "Oh my God, that's sad."
There's been some pretty appalling shit in this country.
And we should acknowledge it. I mean, that's the
Absolutely.
worst. The worst thing about this so-called battle against woke or protecting children. You just don't want history to show Americans have done bad things. We've done bad things,
Absolutely.
but the thing about it is just to not acknowledge it is stupid. I mean, all you have to see is you know, how we treated Native Americans. That's all you need. By the way, one Native American is about to displace someone in Arizona. Um, Jonathan Nez is going to win that seat.
Wow.
He's a former president of the Navajo Nation, and he's going to get rid of Eli Chase, as one of the biggest fucking MAGA pieces of shit, and is looking good there. And they're in panic mode there because Native Americans who normally don't vote are registering to vote in record numbers in Arizona.
Yeah.
Again, tell me Arizona's tied, kiss my ass. The
I uh
trends and the numbers don't fit.
I lived in northern Arizona for about a year when I was a kid, when I was 19, 20 years old.
Mhm.
And where I lived, it was mostly Mormons and Navajos. And they were both very friendly to me.
Mhm.
but it was more so that the Mormons were friendly to your face, because if you weren't a Mormon, you were a piece of shit as
Oh
far as they're
yeah,
concerned. And they were horribly racist too.
really shocking.
At least the ones I met. I mean, they were nice enough to me. It was fairly comfortable being there. But the Navajo people, they were genuinely some of the nicest, most compassionate people I've ever met.
Yeah, it's 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 just sad. You know, Trump is talking about Donald when Kamala Harris talking about we're going to build more homes. Does she have a plan? She's got an idea. I get it. There's going to be no plan because she has to look at what she can do overall and what Congress will
It
allow
depends
her
on
to
what
do.
Congress looks like. It
Yeah.
depends on what she can do.
And so, but Donald Trump came up with his idea of a plan, and his idea of plan, we have all this spare federal land, BLM land, in their places. We can build homes. I think he just wants to do it and make a bunch of Trumpville so it makes him feel better.
Yeah.
But I mean, he has the hardest thing for all of us to kind of accept at this point is that we're end game.
Yeah.
It's hard. We're at the end game. It's not when you get to the end game, you hope it goes well. I
Yeah.
mean, if you think about it, you have to feel bad for like the Union soldiers who may have died on the last battle near Appomattox because it was end game and it just didn't. Your luck ran out. I don't think our luck's going to run out, but it's not going. The end game is going to be tough. It's going to be a tough fight even past the election because Donald Trump is just no matter if he gets rolled by 100 million votes
Yeah.
and loses every state but 10, he still will declare himself a winner.
Yeah, he will.
And we'll have to go through all that. It's going to be harder for the court to overturn it. And John Roberts is feeling heat from his immunity decision. The Supreme Court is feeling heat.
Right.
I've seen a lot of few of their decisions kind of not going Republican way. They know the heat's coming if they do something even worse.
Right.
Although they're fucked anyway with the blue Congress, they know it too. If I'm Alito and Thomas, if Congress turns the way it was, especially the Senate, I would resign.
Yeah.
I really would, because it's about impeachment. And then maybe they don't want to resign because then the DOJ will come out of it. But I think if they resign, we can do a gentleman's deal and say, okay, let Harlan Crow take care of you, boy.
Well, and
And I'll say that term. I'm going to say that term because people know what I said because it's the truth.
Yeah.
He is that to
Harlan's
Harlan Crow.
Harlan's boy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he is. And I know all of it. Yeah, I know. I heard everyone's that shock. I heard you guys say it, but tell me I'm wrong
Yeah.
because
Well,
I'm not.
I have said that before. Maybe the most expeditious way to change the landscape of the Supreme Court is to have somebody sit down with Clarence Thomas and say, look, Clarence, you're going to get indicted. And you know what? You don't have immunity. You're going to get indicted. Or
Mm-hmm.
you could just quietly retire and then we never have to look at you and your ugly wife's face again. And
You
do
know
it to
what?
Alito too, and maybe Kavanaugh if they actually do the investigation.
I mean, for Thomas, I'll throw this in. Hey, buddy, yeah, I get it. You resign because we have you there. And how about this? We'll sweeten your deal. We'll forget everything that your wife did for January 6th if you just go away.
Yeah.
So she don't go to jail either. I mean, it's not. I have no problem with that type of deal because it benefits the American people.
Right.
Alito, I don't know. He probably might, he might not. He's a stubborn ass. As for Brett Kavanaugh, that's going to take an FBI investigation and ripping up all the things that they hid for
Right.
forcing him to resign. That will be ugly, nasty investigation, which must be done.
And there's going to
Because
be other people culpable in that whole cover up thing.
yeah, that has to be done. But that's going to be ugly. The other two, we can sign it. Because here's the thing. That's if they can get him out of there, that's two.
Yeah.
If Kavanaugh is shown to be the
Rapist.
the well, he lied already on the stand to the Congress anyway about Roe v. Wade.
Well,
So
they
we
all
know
did.
that
They all did.
they all
Yeah.
did. But if he's shown to be who he is, yeah, he'll have to go. If she can get 3 nominations and we have a blue Senate, I mean, it'll be fun to watch Lindsey Graham go nuts
Yeah.
every time, like he did with Ketanji Brown, which was, my God, my Lord, there are Southern women going, "That's too much.
Yeah.
That was too much, dude. I mean, get away from me. That was embarrassing." But that would be the easiest way to change the court, especially those
Quickest.
two, the quickest,
Quickest.
and that would alleviate a lot of stuff. The court can revisit immunity. There's no reason not to.
Yeah.
It has. That's the biggest thing we have to look at. It's not about the election. They're not going to overturn the election.
Yeah.
There's no basis for it. They have nothing to do for it. But they have a lot of power and they're trying to get rid of. When Thomas mentioned Brown versus the Board of Education about something that can be that's the court should have never been involved in, that's a warning sign.
Yeah, it
that
definitely
they
is.
are going to rip apart everything that literally Thurgood Marshall did. They're literally going to rip it all apart.
But in order to
And
do that, they need Republican power, and they aren't going to have that.
and that's the thing. We need to, because again, when the last discussion we have, if we don't take care of business down ballot, then it doesn't matter. I mean, you'll have what Kamala Harris will become is a stopgap.
Yeah, she'll be a
It's gonna be
veto
the worst,
machine.
a veto machine. And they won't have a 2/3 majority, but it would just be more. It would be an opportunity for Republicans to rebuild their stupidity on the backs. And let me put it this way: Trumpism will die; it will start to build again
Well,
because they'll go back to government doesn't work.
and if we
And
don't have the majority in the Senate, we'll never get rid of filibuster because Democrats will love it then.
exactly. And then in the House, I think the House is a done deal.
I do too.
I mean, I cannot see them coming back after this Congress that they barely held it by 4. You really think they can hold it and get more seats,
No,
Republicans?
I think that
Ain't happening.
I think the Democrats are going to win by a lot in the House. That's not going to be an issue. The Senate might be more questionable, but I don't think it's as questionable as a lot of people think.
I mean, Arizona, come on.
Yeah.
That's done.
Yeah.
Montana is concerning, but
I can't see how he loses.
Yeah, Ohio. Bernie Moreno is not winning that seat. I
No,
saw
he's
a
too
post that he's
radical.
tied with. No, he's not winning that. Get out of here. Take that away. Pennsylvania, please. That kook. Oh no.
No.
And I'm going to go out on the limb and say that death, known as Rick Scott,
Yeah.
is going away.
I think so too.
Because his opponent apparently got a whole bunch of money,
Yeah.
and she's using it well, and that's why Donald Trump's going to be was in Florida with his own roundtable, trying to figure out to shore up Florida because they kind of think he's kind of fucked.
Yeah,
down there.
They do, and he should be.
We're getting back to possibilities. November 5th cannot come fast enough.
I agree, and we're only just over a week out when you're listening
and
to
then
this, so it's
that
coming.
night, because people keep saying, well, it's going to be 2 or 3 days. I got a feeling that night there are going to be states that fall, that there's going to be a question about counting absentee votes, counting mail-in votes. You may not even have to wait for Georgia.
Right.
It all may become a moot point, and at that point, I think Kamala Harris will declare herself a winner and just stand there and say, "Now what? What are you going to do?
If
What are you going to say?"
Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Florida go, it's over.
It's over. There's nothing, and then Wisconsin is going to go. We know when Minnesota's going to go. Wisconsin, I haven't heard much out of Wisconsin, but that tells me that means panic is in there.
Yeah.
There's no way she should lose that state. Pennsylvania, Arizona, come on. He's leading. What's he leading? Kari Lake by 14 points.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And you can't tell me that someone's going to vote for Ruben Gallegos, but then vote for Donald Trump up here.
No,
It's not logical.
no way.
And
No way.
so, tossing Adam Schiff, which is a gimme, it's going to, but the states, if that happens November 5th, which I'm going to
Well,
put my heart on it, then all the rest of the discussion is just going to be whining and crying, and filing lawsuits is not going to help you because you're already DOA. You cannot declare yourself a winner, whereas there's nothing to declare a winner for.
the only state we're likely to lose is West Virginia because Manchin is gone, but he wasn't of any help anyway. And they could end up having a Republican there more than likely. But with Rick Scott
They kind of
possibly
expected
losing,
that.
yeah, and Ted Cruz maybe losing, it may not matter as
You
long
know
as we
what? That
have
night,
a
it,
majority. We're good.
you know what? Whatever happens, if Ted Cruz loses Texas, if he finally is gone, I mean, there ain't enough bottles of tequila for a celebration for that. There
Yeah,
ain't, because that's just, and it just won't be Democrats. It'll be Republicans.
yeah.
Oh,
Everybody hates
thank
that
God.
motherfucker.
Oh my
Everybody hates that
God.
motherfucker.
And so it's all of us have to be. We talked about the future. If we want a future that's better than what we've been seeing over the last few decades, then we win this election, and then we
Absolutely,
build on an economy that's not crashed.
absolutely.
Now, wouldn't it be nice
It'd be
for a
nice
change,
to
guys?
it'd be nice not have to dog paddle and save ourselves and just wait it out. It'd be nice to start on the ground running, and that's where Kamala Harris will be when she wins the election. Well,
Beauty, eh?
we're going to wrap up the Rational Boomer
Cool.
podcast. Tell people where they can find you.
Okay, again, Binder 38 US at on TikTok. I've got hopefully by the time I'm looking at reality catches up with us, I'll be over 1,500 followers. Just
Nice.
I'll keep doing my thing. You guys can't. Um, I am on YouTube. I'm trying to figure out how to get that to work. It's still a fight. Binder 38 US at YouTube. Also, if you have any questions, any comments about these things we speak about in my videos, I did an email because you guys are nice, but I'm not giving you my personal email. I don't trust you. Sorry. But it's binder38us at outlook.com. If you have any questions or anything, hey, I'd love to answer them for you. Any discussions? If you want to threaten me, I can send it to the FBI. That's cool. They can find you. But yeah, I mean, and after this, as Mike says, what we can talk about. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff.
Oh
In
yeah.
the next few days, I'm going to be talking about the Dodgers and Yankees go blue. Um, and that's, you see a lot. And eventually want to get back to talking about fun stuff that I enjoy, books
Yeah.
I have read, movies and television shows that I've seen, and what it's like sometimes to be 62 and watching them watch stuff that I saw and go, that's pretty good. Yeah, I could have told you that years ago.
Yeah.
But it's I like what they're doing, and politics will never leave because politics will just change.
Yeah.
And
It's
it'd be
just
nice
different.
to talk about policy and what we can do instead of idiocy.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
There
that
you
be
go.
nice, y'all?
That would be
Anyway,
nice. And I'm looking forward to it. So, Will, thanks for coming by. I
my
appreciate it
pleasure, Mike.
immensely. Those of you listening, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to do that. I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.